The Witch was written and directed by Robert Eggers, stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Ineson, Kate Dickie, and Harvey Scrimshaw, and a few others. This is really kind of a small cast movie where a New England family goes out on their own, leaving this well-established village because William wants to provide for his family and be free of rules and stuff like that. That's why they left England. They wanted to be free of rules. So he establishes a house and a homestead right near some woods that have a creepy witch living in them. And yes, this review will contain spoilers. It has been out for a few years. I have not gotten a chance to see it until now. It was on Netflix. Figure, why the hell not? So, is this movie as great as people said it was? It was good. It was pretty damn good. I don't know if it's necessarily the best horror movie I've seen. It does have some chilling imagery, some really good music that it uses, and some pretty damn good acting. Anya, who plays Tomasin, the oldest daughter of this family, is actually probably the best of the bunch. Ralph, who plays William, the father, he's really, really damn good. Everybody else is kind of a stereotypical character, but in this movie, it does use a lot of the whole ideas where this kind of sets up stuff of like witchcraft and, you know, are these just hallucinations, or is this stuff legit? Should they really have left the village and gone towards, you know, establish this house near some creepy woods that the kids aren't supposed to go into, which right away is like horror, you know, movie 101. It's like, okay, if we're living near something that we shouldn't go towards, kids being kids, teens being teens, are going to naturally go towards that. So as the movie advances, it's only 90 minutes. So I don't know why people said the slow burn thing was necessarily a bad idea. I can understand over 2.5 hours if people say slow burn is bad. But 90 minutes, it's not going to slow burn forever. And it's not slow burn like the Paranormal Activity movies, where even though I like those, as cheesy as they were, those were mainly slow burn because they only had a budget to like put all the shit in at the very end of it. This was written and directed and, you know, good with great, you know, detail and great atmosphere. The shots, the feeling of isolation, they really established that this family feels totally isolated. They're like a day's ride on horseback from the town, or, you know, like 12 hours. But back then, you just had to make sure that you could live past like the age of 40 because diseases and not great advances in medicines and stuff like that, and harsh winters, and not all the amenities, you know, the amenities that we have right now. They make life a whole lot easier. This does make it feel like they really are back in a New England, you know, village or, you know, isolated area. And the whole stuff with the witch is actually pretty damn well done. You don't get a ton of images of the witch. I mean, you get that it's obviously an old witch, and you have this baby that disappears that starts to divide this family. And once the baby disappears, that's when shit really starts to go down and everything. The younger kids are blaming Tomasin, for, you know, the baby disappearing. And all she did was joke about it, but the kids run with it and say that she's, you know, a witch. She's into witchcraft and this kind of stuff. And the mother starts to believe it. The dad doesn't necessarily believe it. But then, of course, paranoia and all that shit and all this bad stuff happening where things were actually pretty good. But then the crops start to go bad. The baby hasn't returned. The mother is upset. I mean, obviously, as anybody would if their child disappeared or their child ended up dead. All this shit really, really starts to go down, really starts to get to everybody. And there were some scenes that didn't necessarily work for me, like the one where eventually Tomasin and Caleb go into the, or Thomasin, go into the woods, kind of as a way to find, you know, to find out about the witch and stuff like that, but also to, you know, maybe find some food and stuff like that because they're having problems providing for the family. Well, William is, because he realized he's in way over his head with how big the family is and that he's not the best provider. Well, Caleb ends up getting caught because he goes to chase after the dog that they have, and of course the dog dies. For the dog must always die in these movies. Fortunately, they didn't show the dog's death on. They showed what looked like the dog, but it didn't actually show it getting killed, which I like because I don't like seeing animal deaths happen on screen. I'm not a fan of that, as much as I'm a horror fan. After that, Caleb turns up possessed soon afterwards, because of witchcraft, and has a scene that varies between him being really, really good at his acting and then it being cheesy and stuff like that. And that's not even knocking necessarily the guy that's acting. Maybe it was just the way the lines were delivered. Maybe it was the way the scene was shot. I don't know. That scene sort of worked and sort of didn't. Then he dies. And then things really, really start to go bad. There are goats that they have, including a black goat that the kids keep talking to. The younger kids keep talking to. And of course, the black goat ends up being the evil one and everything. Of course, this is back in the 1600s. They assumed everything that was black was evil. Yes, racism joke, because that's kind of what it was. A lot of people were incredibly racist about things they didn't know, even though they were human. But then again, this is a goat. The whole point of this is this goat is evil. And this goat speaks to these children. Well, Thomasin ends up wanting to find out about all this stuff, but everybody dies, basically. The end is essentially what happens with this movie. That's basically it. Everybody dies, the end. You have this one scene where Thomasin goes into the woods, is completely stripped naked, which I guess seems to be something that all the witches did back in the 1600s and, until the Salem witch trials and all that stuff. And this kind of alludes to the fact that maybe Salem was the town that was going to get established. What happens is, because they never say the name of the city they're in or the town that they're in. Or if they did, they really, really, brushed by it and I just didn't catch it. But the idea of this is, Thomasin ends up becoming a witch. He ends up making a deal with the devil, essentially, for all this wealth and power and these abilities. And it just shows how, she's lost everything, but, the devil will give her everything, or a demon will give her everything. Because, that always ends well in horror movies, and it ends with her in a witch ritual, if you will. And that's where the movie pretty much ends. But it does have some creepy imagery, some good atmospheric shots, and it was well done. It wasn't a great movie. I'm going to say that right now. Now, is it really good? Yes. It is not an A-plus movie. It's not an A movie. It's not an A-minus movie. It's not even a B-plus movie. It's a B movie. Because it's between B and B-plus. Because the atmosphere and the feeling of isolation and everything and the great directing and cinematography really do elevate this above what it could have been. Had they just phoned this in and hammed this up and stuff like that, and not played it straight and not done the slow burn stuff, this might have actually been a really, really terrible movie. It might have been a D. But because of the acting and because of the care that the filmmakers had, or, the director and the writer, who's the same person, and the actors actually, and the cast actually taking their roles seriously, there was a lot to like about this movie. So I'll say B plus for how it was. Is it an A movie? Not in my personal opinion, no. But I will say that Anya Taylor-Joy probably has a pretty damn bright future here, and I'm interested to see what else she's gonna be in. Because it's always nice to see where actors or actresses start out when they're young. So anyway, that's my thoughts on The Witch. So did you guys like the movie? Did you guys think the movie was absolute shit? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if there's some more movies you want me to review. Because I'd love to hear from you guys. I really enjoy interacting. Anyway, like, share, subscribe. My Twitter handle's in the description. Spend real honesty with John Ritlin, and I will see you soon.